Hello and welcome back to Business Class. If you're watching visually today, you'll be able to see that we've finally got my plane seats on the set, which I'm so excited about. They are actually a lot comfier than they look. So I feel like they don't look like I would be in a comfy position, but I actually feel like I could fall asleep on these. I wonder if they recline actually. They do, they recline. So today's episode, I am going to do a few more business dilemmas. I got so much love on the last episode where I went through all of your business dilemmas and I tried to find as many juicy ones as I could. So thank you so much for sending those in. As always, I'm going to start off with my takeoffs and departures. So I feel like my biggest takeoff this week has to be that I got engaged when I was on holiday. One of my last episodes I mentioned I was going to Turkey and I actually got proposed to while I was there. I'm not wearing the ring today because it's way too big and I have fingers the size of like skinny chips, so I can't wear those. But it was amazing. It was an amazing holiday and yeah, I feel great about it. I'd say departures is coming back off your holiday and going back to work. It's never nice. And I always have such bad anxiety when I come back to the business after being on holiday. I just feel like I feel like everything's going to go wrong. But I have tackled my first day. It went pretty well. So I was pretty happy. So I'm going to jump into some dilemmas. I've picked, I think, 10 that I think were pretty juicy that I've been DM'd over the past couple of weeks. So if you enjoy this episode and you want your dilemma answered, please just send me a DM and I'll try and do these a bit more consistently. So let's get into today's episode. Okay, so dilemma number 1 that I got is as follows. Hi Vicky, I run a graphic design agency and one of my designers is by far our best hire, but she's also incredibly toxic for the team morale. She constantly complains, undermines my leadership and has recently caused 2 other employees to leave. Do I risk losing her talent to save the culture? Please help. That is personally something I don't think I have had yet, where it's like you've got one really, really bad apple. What's the expression there? I'm not too sure. But I think that ultimately when you have a business and a team, the morale is so, so, so important. And sometimes it can even be more important than the work and business itself, which seems like probably not the best answer to give. But ultimately, if you've got one person that is ruining it for everyone else, naturally, the rest of the team isn't going to perform as you would like them to. It's going to make them feel uncomfortable and eventually they'll end up resenting the job. So I think there's definitely things you can try first. Like maybe this team member could work from home more, like obviously have an open chat about it. Like I've mentioned before, you can do the sort of scorecards where you're ranking them out of 10. So it can be where do you feel like your attitude is at the minute out of 10 and just see where they're ranking themselves versus where you would rank them. And if you're not aligning on it and they're not seeing your perspective, I think it's time to let go. And it is really hard. And I've been in positions before where you feel like if one person's gone, that it's the end of the world. But at the end of the day, like you're going to find someone else to fit the job. And I think that it's not worth losing the rest of your team for making them feel upset and uncomfortable. Like it's the most important thing. So I think definitely try things first. If you feel scared, just cut them off completely. But at the end of the day, team is everything and morale is everything. Second one I got is that they've had a business for 3 years. She's covering expenses and paying staff, but she hasn't personally paid herself in 6 months. And she said, my boyfriend is starting to lose his patience and tells me that this isn't right. I'm stuck between reinvesting and actually making a living. What should I do? I feel like this is quite a common problem with business owners, I would say. Like it's very tempting. Obviously, when you make money, some of us want to take it out and spend it and it's great and it's exciting versus other people want to reinvest it. You want to invest back in the team, invest back in equipment and things that's going to make you scale. But you have got to find a middle ground where you're taking some out and obviously you're rewarding yourself. Like you work hard, you deserve to take that out, but also it's important to reinvest back in the business. So I think what we like to do with like our finances is make spreadsheets, look at what all of our expenses are, which ones of them are necessary, like which ones do you absolutely need, and which ones perhaps, could you go a month without or aren't crucial to how the business runs. And then another thing that I did recently, which is a really good exercise, is to actually understand like how much you should pay yourself. So again, another spreadsheet is great, and look at what expenses you need covered. So what is like your mortgage, like if you got a house, or what are your bills costing you? What does your car cost you? How much do you actually need to live? And then I think that should be a priority over something else, because you are going to end up resenting the job if you're not taking anything from it. So I think that we can get into this cycle of constantly feeling like we need to reinvest all the time, but it is important to take money out. So I would say to do that exercise, to look at what you actually need, and then to think about, is there anything at the minute which you can just like take your foot off the pedal for a bit, because you're the most important asset to your business. And if you're not treating yourself as a number one priority, then you are going to start resenting it. Next one I got says, "Hey girly, my business is thriving, which is great, but I am the product. Every client wants me instead of my team. I'm working 80-hour weeks and I can't take on more. How do I grow without burning out or disappointing my clients? Help a tired sister out." So I feel like everyone's been there. And one of the hardest things that I was dealing with when we were growing really fast is that a lot of clients do want you and not your team. And that is only because they know you best. They might know you from social media, like the posts that you do. Obviously, if you were the main face of the business at the start, that's who they are familiar with. But I think it's just making it really clear to clients, even on the onboarding process, like that they're going to have a team manager or an account manager, and making it very clear to them that they are like an extension of you. They're not, they don't know it's not like they don't know what they're talking about. Like they're going to be in good hands. So I think the expectations need to be really clear, and to make it clear that just because you own the business, like you don't have to be in it all the time. You're busy working on it. And if clients don't respect that, then unfortunately, sometimes they need to be let go of. And I've had it before when I've had clients that I've worked really closely with for years, and I've had to tell them that, they're going to have to be working with an account manager. Some love it, some understand it, some don't. But there's definitely ways that you can put aspects of yourself into the clients. Like it could be that you have a meeting with the team once a week and you input your ideas, or it could be that you go on the client catch-up calls to make them feel as though you are like the main point of contact, if that makes sense. So I think expectations is always the biggest thing, and not promising yourself. Like I still get asked all the time if I'm going to be people's account manager and their point of contact. And instead of just being like, yeah, of course, like unless it's maybe a special occasion where I'm working with someone one-to-one, I'll just say like, no, I'm going to put you with one of the account managers. They're amazing. They get amazing results. I'm going to oversee everything. And if they don't want that and they don't respect that, then sometimes they might not be the best client. But as you are, like you said, currently like burnt out at the minute, maybe just thinking about which clients could you potentially lose if you step back and which ones would stay, because you don't want to risk losing the clients. But obviously the ones that you think would be okay with it, just experiment with speaking to them first and seeing how they feel about it. So next one we've got is, "Hey Vicky, I'm hoping you can help. I co-own a coffee shop with my best friend from college. Lately she's been missing meetings, skipping shifts, and seems really disengaged. I'm carrying all the weight at the minute and it doesn't feel fair. How do I talk to her without ruining our friendship or the business?" I feel like this is something that a lot of us have dealt with if you've worked with friends, and it's very difficult to sort of cross that line or not let the lines blur between being someone's friend and working with them in business. So I would say obviously start out with that open and honest chat, but just speak about why you're having it. So rather than going in like all guns blazing and making them feel bad, just speaking about why you're having the conversation and reiterating that it's not easy for you, but if we don't have this conversation, like we could lose out on profit, our friendship could take a turn, and just speaking about why you are having that conversation. Because I think that it's really easy to just like snap and be like, oh, why are they not doing this? Why are they not the same as me? But everyone works really differently, and you don't always know what the other person's dealing with. Like sometimes it could be that they're having a really hard time at home that you don't know about. So I think if you can have that conversation, you can try out doing that sort of like scorecard thing that I've spoken about, where it could be like an activity that both of you do, where it's like, okay, let's like score how we're both doing at the minute. So like, how do you feel like your energy is? How do you feel like your time management is? And see where they rank themselves as well. Because most people are pretty self-aware, and they're aware that maybe their attitude hasn't been up to scratch recently, or their time management. And it just saves you from having that awkward conversation, I think. So it's really hard. It's one of the hardest things to be in business with a friend. And I don't think it's something that I would ever look to do, just because I think friendships are very precious. And unless you've known someone for years and years and they're almost like a sister or a brother to you, it can be a very difficult dynamic, and it can either work amazingly. I know some friends that absolutely smash it together as a pair, but sometimes it can go very, very sour. So I think open and honest conversation is definitely the way forward. So the next one I've got is apparently a strange dilemma. So she says, hi, so here's my strange dilemma. One of my corporate clients makes up the majority of our income. I know it's risky, but I haven't found other customers at that scale. How do I reduce the risk without losing the relationship or cutting my revenue? It's the worry that one day that big client might just go and our business sort of relies on them. So I totally get this. I think when you sort of are in a position where sometimes you do get a big client out of nowhere, or we've been through stages before where we've increased our prices. So we might have like a bigger package or a bigger price. We might get one client on it and it feels great. But then also you feel the pressure of, if they go, we've lost out on a massive chunk of income there. So I think it's important to obviously think about other streams of income that you have coming in. So I try now not to rely so heavily on one thing. So say if I'm doing loads of speaking gigs, if I all of a sudden lost those, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because we've got like money coming in through the agency or collaborations and things like that. So whenever I'm in a position where things do feel a bit off, I'll always make like a mind map and look at the different areas of the business. So at the minute, you're saying that it's your biggest corporate client, but is that like your only way that you're getting revenue in? Like, could it be that you start posting more on social media and get collaborations in, speaking, digital products, like things like that, so that you're not just relying on that client? And then it sounds obvious, but just making sure that you're really nurturing that client itself, just so that there isn't going to be a risk that you're going to lose them and they feel like they're a priority to you. And a really good exercise as well that I often do with clients is looking at what do people pay versus like how do they behave and how easy are they to manage as a client. So you might have some really big clients that pay a lot, which is great, but they could, not have the best attitude, or maybe you don't enjoy working with them, but you keep them on because they pay a lot. Or you might have clients that maybe don't pay so much, but they're really easy to work with, they're lovely people, and you keep them on board. So making sure that obviously you have these like easy clients over here that are really lovely to work with. They might make up the same revenue as that big client. So almost seeing that as equal to the big client and nurturing everyone in the same way. But I know it's scary when you do have that, but see it as a good thing that you have got a client that is paying you so much, but also just thinking about other ways that you can increase your revenue. So next one is one that I get all the time, and I feel like is such a common problem for business owners and a common question. So they said, I run a business and 95% of my leads come from referrals. I know I need to build a presence online, but I can't stand making content. Can I grow without social media, or should I just suck it up? And that is like such a relevant question at the minute, because everyone is talking about social media, going viral, personal brands. And I feel like brands and businesses at the minute really feel the pressure to have a social media presence, because it's like, if we're not on social media, then are we even a business? Like, do people even know about us? And I would say my personal opinion is that every brand does need social media, but maybe just not. There's like different levels of it in my head. So I think that If your brand is really heavily reliant on social media, then yes, post as much as you can. You've got a big presence on there. That's great. But if you're a brand that is like, say, a restaurant and you're always fully booked and you literally don't need social media, I think it's really nice to have it as like a shop window. So it's like when I go to a restaurant, I'll always look at their Instagram, see what the food looks like, look at the menu. And it's just like a nice thing to have a little peep in before you book. So I think that if you are in a position where you don't really need social media, at least have an active profile where you're maybe posting once a week or twice a week, and that's it. And you're not having, much thought process behind it. But I do think social media is incredibly powerful, and there can be times where you think, I don't even need it and I'm fully booked. But there's so many other ways that you can grow your business. Like a business is never really truly fully capped. Like even if you are like a one-man band and you, I don't know, you do nails or something, even if you're fully booked and you can't let in any more clients, there's always more you can do with the help of social media. So it can be that you are posting as a personal brand and getting collaborations in. It can be that you are working with like nail brands like that to grow your profile even more and make more of an income. So yeah, I think everyone should have social media, but everyone doesn't necessarily need it at the same level, if that makes sense. So next one we've got is my dilemma is it time to hire or should I just work smarter? My schedule is a mess. Between sales, customer service, and admin work, I have no time to actually grow the business. But hiring help feels like an expense I can't justify. How do I know if it's time to hire? So this is totally normal. I think whether it's your first hire or whether you're looking to hire your 10th employee, you always get to a point where you're like, okay, I am fully booked here. I feel really busy. I feel stressed. I need someone to help. Is it the right time to hire? Or like you said, should I just work smarter and should I just like look at operations that we can get in place? So I think that, yes, look first at what you can sort of make change to make your life easier is the most important thing. And then also thinking about, do you need to hire an employee? Because obviously that's a huge commitment because you've got to pay, I don't know, employers, PAYE, all of this stuff that I'm learning about at the minute that stresses me out so much. Or do you need to outsource? Because there are times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I need someone hired right now. But it's such a lengthy process to go through the hiring process. It's such a big commitment. You've got to commit to paying someone every single month. Or is it just like, I'm stressed right now and I could just use a freelancer? So if you are like really on the fence and you're like, oh, I really just don't know. Because I feel like whenever I need to hire, I just know, like there's no question about it. But if you're a bit more on the fence and in two minds, maybe start out first with a freelancer. Or I actually was speaking to one of my best friends the other day who was feeling really overwhelmed with her business. And I just said to her, why don't you just get a VA, like a virtual operations manager? I think that's virtual assistant. Why don't you just get a virtual assistant? And she didn't even know that they existed. And you can get them for literally, I don't know, I think hers was like £20 an hour or something like that. And they can just help sort your schedule out and it's not as big of a commitment. So I feel like I kind of wish that I'd done that when I was just starting out rather than hiring, because then you're just dipping your toe into the water a little bit and it doesn't feel so scary. Say if you are having a month that goes a bit quieter and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to commit to paying this employee's like salary. When it's just like a freelancer, you can just be like, I don't have as much work for you this month. So I would definitely recommend doing that. And then if you feel like, okay, I could really do with someone on my team, this is feeling like too much, that's when it's time to hire. So next one is, I started my small bakery because I love baking, but now I'm stuck doing payroll, vendor calls, and fixing broken equipment. I barely bake anymore. How do I reconnect with my passion? And when do you feel like, it's time to walk away? So this is a really hard question. And I feel like whenever you do own a business, there's always times where you feel like, oh, should I be doing this? Is it making me happy anymore? Do I still have a passion for it? So I think it's important when you're feeling like this to step away, whether that means going on holiday or taking a day off, maybe speaking to someone that gets you, that understands you, reconnecting with the reason why you started it, and then maybe thinking about any ways you can inject a bit of fun into it? So can you like launch a new product? Can you do, I don't know, a fun photo shoot and get that booked in? Because I think that we only feel like this when we're so like in the norm routine all the time. Like I feel sometimes quite uninspired when I don't have exciting things booked in. So say if I'm not really doing much speaking one month, or I've not got any events that I'm going to, I will feel a bit like, oh, a bit bored of business this month, because it's just like going to the office 9 to 5 every day, or in my case, starting at 11. Like it's completely different for every person. But I think that I always feel a lot better when I step out and reconnect. And sometimes that is as simple for me as like going out for brunch with my sister and speaking for an hour and just being like, I feel really uninspired right now. What do you think of how things are going? And just having an honest conversation with it. But I think it's not until you have that thought constantly where you're like, do you know what? I just want to go back to working for someone else and doing a 9 to 5. I think I'm going to do an episode soon actually about what to do when you do feel like really, really uninspired and how to get that spark back. Another one I got was, Vicky, I need your help. I just found out one of my longtime employees has been building a side hustle behind my back, doing the exact same services we offer. That alone is fine, I guess, but now I've learned that she's been quietly poaching clients and undercutting our rates. Some of our best accounts have already left. I feel betrayed and upset, but I'm also scared to go public or confront her or get legal involved because I'm worried it'll hurt our brand. What should I do? Fight for it, stay silent, or try and fix this privately? Please help. Wow. So what would I do if I was in this position? I pray I never will be. I would say when someone is poaching your clients, whether that's a team member, a competitor, whoever that might be, you do have to lean into the fact that if they are willing to go, they're not someone you want to work with anyway. Because like I said in a few episodes back now, if someone came to me and said, I can run your podcast for cheaper, that to me feels really unprofessional. It feels really catty. And I'd just be like, you're not someone that I want to work with. So if someone is willing to leave just because they're being offered it for cheaper, it isn't someone you want to work with. I would say there are things you can do like down the legal route. And even though they feel scary, it's not really a public thing either. So if you did want to take legal action against this team member, you absolutely can. And it's a private thing. Like unless they choose to go on socials and share their side of it, which I doubt they would because they're in the wrong. I would maybe look to go down that route. But I think when it is someone that you're so close to and that you've worked with for a long time, it's hard and you are going to feel these feelings of feeling betrayed and upset. I'd feel exactly the same. But it's in those times where you've really got to like hold your head high, know that you're the best at what you do. And yeah, if people want to go, they can go. Try and have a conversation with this person, try and make them understand. But obviously you're saying it's a current employee. So I'm assuming they're still there every day. Try and have that conversation, revert back to the contract, letting them know that it's not okay and see how it goes from there. But yeah, I do think legal action maybe is the best way. It's obviously scary, but I think I would not go public. I really don't like that approach when businesses go public with things and do a story like slagging people off. I think it really looks badly on your business. So I would try and keep calm, have the conversation. And then if you're still not sort of seeing eye to eye, then you can go to like a small claims court, or you can even speak now. When I was learning a bit more about legal stuff, you can even speak to a solicitor for free for like half an hour. So even just getting a bit of advice would be very helpful. We've got one saying, I run a cleaning service and I haven't raised my prices in 2 years. My costs have gone up, but I'm afraid to raise my prices in case I lose loyal customers. How do I know when it's the right time to raise my prices, and how do I do it without the backlash? So again, like a position that a lot of us have been in. So I think when you really understand what you're pricing for, it feels a lot easier to raise your prices. So when I was first starting out, Obviously, I said on a previous episode, I used to charge like £100 a month for social media management, which is like nothing. And then when I wanted to make the jump from £100 to £250 a month, that to me felt like a huge jump at the time. So I sort of tried to work backwards and do the maths on why I had totaled it at £250, which is obviously still not a lot of money. So you can I looked at like, how long does it take me to do the work for each client? What equipment am I using? What are your skills worth? Divide it down between, for me, obviously, because I was doing social media, per post. So when I was doing the maths, it was like 20p per post. And obviously that is not a lot of money at all. So I was like, okay, I would maybe rate myself at the time at maybe £10 per post, and then doing 10 times how many posts I was doing. So work backwards first, so you've got a price, and then it's also good for clients because you can reflect it in that price. So say if my cleaners came to me and said, I need to raise my prices up by an extra £5 a week or whenever they come, because I'm buying this cleaning product, or because I'm, I don't know, working extra on X, Y, and Z, because she's telling me why, I'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's a lot harder for people when you just go, hi, just so you know, I'm raising my prices in July to be an extra £5 with no explanation. Then you're like, what? Like, okay, but why? So I think just like clarity, it works. And obviously there is going to be people that aren't going to pay it. We've had times before when I've raised prices where we've lost people, but I just see it as you're simply just making room for new people to come in that are going to pay. So if you raise your prices, you get backlash. It's so scary. And I feel like for me, my one of my scariest moments as a business owner was adding VAT onto everything. So if you don't know, when you basically hit a certain money threshold, you have to start charging an extra 20% on all of your services to cover VAT. And for most businesses that we worked with, they were VAT registered, so it didn't affect them. But a lot of the businesses we worked with were still really small businesses, and an extra 20% for them was a lot. And me sending that email saying you need to pay an extra 20% every month was terrifying. And there were some people that were understanding, some people didn't like it and they left, and it felt scary. But we just pushed even harder for more clients, and we filled them up and they paid the right amount. So I'd say so obviously you're saying cleaning, and it's like the pricing of the equipment that you use, just literally just talk about why you're raising it. And hopefully if people have been with you for a long time, they can understand that. And you can say, hopefully, you see my value by now and it makes sense. So it's very difficult, but clarity is great for people. Whenever we are raising prices, we just speak about why and try and make it make some sense to them. Okay, so next dilemma I've got is a bit of a long one, but it's looking juicy on first glance. So they said, hey, I never thought I'd be writing in about something like this, but I could really use an outsider's perspective. I've been running my business for about 7 years, and my operations manager, let's call him Jason, has been with me for 5 of those years. He's been a solid, trustworthy employee. I've never had a single issue with him. I've even thought of him as a future partner in the business. Last week, while reviewing our expense reports, I noticed a £1,200 charge on the company credit card that didn't look right. It turns out Jason used it to pay for a personal car repair. I confronted him and he owned up to it right away. No lies, no dodging. He told me his paycheck was delayed due to a banking issue. His car broke down and he panicked because he couldn't miss any more work. He said he planned to tell me and pay it back this week. He did seem genuinely sorry. He even offered to repay the full amount immediately and take a written warning. He's never done anything like this before, but I feel like the trust is a bit broken now. I'm torn. Part of me thinks stealing is stealing, no matter how good the reason. I have to protect the culture of the company and set the standards, but another part of me sees this as someone who's been loyal for years, made a big mistake, and is trying to make it right. I don't want to throw him away over one bad decision, but I also don't want to be naive. So my question is, do you think I should let him go and protect the integrity of the business, or do I give him a second chance and risk undermining my own standards? I'm really curious about how other business owners would handle this. Wow. So yeah, I think it's good because when I was reading that, I was thinking you were going to say that he would not own up to it and that he would be like, no, I didn't know anything about that. I'd say it's good that he owned up to it. It's another thing to spend that much money on the company card. Like, I feel like he probably should have asked before doing that. He probably should have gone about it in many different ways, but I think he did the right thing by speaking to him first and with giving the written warning, I think is the right way to go about it. I would say what I would do if I was in this position and you did have this good of a relationship is to speak to him about how you're feeling and say, obviously, you can understand why I feel a bit wary of you right now. I would personally not give him access to, like changing the pins of the credit card, if that's possible. I don't know if his job requires needing that information, like changing passwords and things like that. And again, it's a written warning. So I don't know, from what I hear, I don't think I would get rid of him because he has owned up to it and apologized. That's personally what I would do. Not everyone will agree with that. But I think just revoking access that he has from things like the credit cards and the finances and that written warning, and maybe just having for the next few weeks or next few months, just like appraisals to speak about it and just really keeping an eye on finances and things like that. But I know not everyone will agree with me on that, and that some people will be like, you've ruined the trust once. Like, it's not going to be made up that easily. But I do think I do have a lot of respect for people when they own up to something. But should he have owned up to it sooner? I don't know. That one's left me on the fence a little bit. I really hope I don't have to go through something like that. But yeah, I think that if he doesn't have access to anything like that again, great. But who knows? People are strange. So I'm going to leave you with that one. I would be curious to know what everyone else's advice would be on that one and what they would do. Like I said, I'd love to do more of these. So if you've got any dilemmas, anything that you are stressing about and not sure how to handle, you can send me a DM on businessclass.podcast, and we can try and handle it together. And yeah, I think that is pretty much me for this week. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you next week on Business Class.